Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, my beloved student. Welcome back to Classroom Management course with Miss Fatimah. In this lovely occasions, I would like to explain a new topic, and it is very interesting because we will discuss about on how to organize teaching learning activities in the class. And this topic is very interesting because the basic task of teacher is to get students to engage in learning activities in order to achieve learning outcomes or goals, So once again, this topic is very interesting because it is your basic task as the teachers in the future to get students to engage in learning activities to achieve learning outcomes. And in this video, I will focus only two things. The first, I will explain about the key features of teaching learning activities. And the second, I will tell you about the resources or examples of teaching learning activities. Let's begin with the first section. As a teacher in the future, you should understand that there are some important features of teaching learning activities. The first, teaching learning activities are planned in advance. So you have to think it carefully whether it will be effective or not for your students to achieve their learning goals. And then the second, the focus of teaching learning outcomes is on what the students are doing or on what they are engaged in active learning. And then the third, in the teaching learning activities, students should receive or get feedback from you, the teacher, on their learning process as part of their experience. What about the resources of teaching learning activities? Okay, let's discuss about resources of teaching learning activities. It will be interesting. Basically, there are plenty resources that you can use in your classroom activities. But in these sections, I will share 9 resources that might be used as your reference according to University of Western Cape. The first is concept mapping. Okay, what is concept mapping? Okay, so actually these types of activity can be used with undergraduate and postgraduate students for both individual and collaborative work. And then the concept mapping helps students to clarify not only the concept they are learning, but also the links and relationship between concepts. And then the second resources is participatory learning in action techniques. The main strengths of this resource is to encourage links between students on live worlds and the more formal spaces of higher education and disciplinary learning. They also encourage the sharing of information, and they have ability to deepen students' own sense-making of their learning process. And then the third is questioning. I think all of you know what is questioning. Generally, asking questions or questioning is one of the most basic and potentially effective ways of engaging students in their own learning process. One effective method of questioning is the using certain kinds of questions for certain kinds of tasks or situations to guide the students in answering, so that they can see more clearly what they do and do not yet understand. And the fourth is formative quiz. And this resource is very good way of doing continuous assessment with your students and finding out from them whether they are understanding the course content, their levels of understanding, and then where their gaps are. And then the idea behind formative quiz is they are aimed at developing and deepening engagement with the knowledge and understanding of it. And then the fifth is problem solving. And problem solving is a useful tool for increasing critical thinking and inquiry-based learning. And it also improves students to be more proactive about using the knowledge and skills they have been learning to solve problems that they may encounter in the worlds of work or in further levels of study. The sixth resource is debate. I think all of you know what is debate, and maybe some of you are debaters in your campus, right? Okay, so actually, debate is a very useful teaching tool when there are interesting and divided issues that need to be thought about critically and from different angles, and where students need to do this thinking and talking actively. Teams of students can be set to sides of an issue and given time to discuss this before presenting their arguments and engaging in debate. And then the next, we will talk about role play. So role play is one of a creative resource and expressive tool for getting students to engage with what they are learning in a different way. And this can be used in large and small class. And then different students can be chosen or can volunteer to take on the roles. And then the next is free writing. Now, free writing is also a very useful tool for getting students to think and write and be a little critical at the same time. Free writing can be used in a range of ways, but generally, free writes are short and focus on a single question or mini topic. The last resource is small group activities. Some of these activities can be adapted and used in lectures to encourage students to participate, to think, to speak, and to interact with you as the teacher and with one another about aspects of the lecture's topic or theme. Using small group work requires some forward planning and often the creative use of space in the class. But it can be very rewarding and enjoyable for both lecturers and students. In addition, because we learn from experience, it can be challenging to come up with a range of learning activities to use in the class. Based on website article from University of Tasmania, there are several examples and ideas for high-impact learning activities which are intentional, meaningful, and useful. There are 6 activities types to help you in thinking through how best to design and deliver high-impact learning activities for your students. There are content-focused and interactions activities, interactivity-focused activities, critical thinking activities, productions activities, problem-solving activities, and then the last, reflections activities. Yes, we will discuss them one by one. First, content-focused and interactions activities, which may involve students' interactions with content. Actually, it can include listening to and or watching a live or recorded talk, and engaging a written or visual text, engaging with multimedia, or a combination of these. For example, you conduct live lecture through video conferencing such as Zoom, Google Meet, and other platform. Or you assign a reading with access to a journal articles, blog, or others. So from this, you can use content focus and interactions activities to make your students learn more and engage in the learning process. The second is interactivity with others focus that support students' development of a range of learning outcomes, inclusive of declarative and functioning knowledge in either online and face-to-face environment. And then the examples of these activities are facilitating online forum discussions, and then jigsaw collaborative information sharing, and then group assignment. The third is critical thinking activities that provide students with opportunities to think about or to use knowledge and information in new and different ways will support their development of critical thinking skills. One of the main selling points of a university education is their critical thinking skills. For example, students must respond to an assigned text, or share digital story development as individuals, pairs, or group based on case study given by the lecturers or teachers. And then the fourth is productions activities that ask students to produce something. It can be a way of facilitating deep learning. And then for using these activities, you may give your students a specific aspects of a topic and then ask them to create 3 until 7 minutes oral explanations. You can also ask your student to spend 1 minute to respond a key questions about the topic being covered during lecture section. And then the next activity is problem solving. Here, you may provide students with a problem or case study, and then you ask them to resolve or deal with a feasible and clear reasons for learning. The example activity for these types are doing simulation, analyzing case study, and doing class solutions and consequences. And then the last is reflections activity that supports the development of students' metacognitive. That is their understanding of how they think, learn, and understand the materials. And then the process of reflections start with the students thinking about what they already know and have experience in relations to the topic being explored or the topic being learned by them. Then, this is followed by analysis of why the students think about the topic in the way they do and what assumptions, attitudes, and beliefs that they have about and bring to learning about the topic. And then from this activity or from the reflections activity, the student can do self-assessment, reflections on learning and prior understanding. Well, I think the conclusions of this video is that teaching learning activities have a set of common features and provide you plenty learning activities that can make up a high impact learning experience. For further reading, you may visit websites www.uwc.ac.za/TNL or University of Tasmania www.teaching-learning.utas.edu.au. Okay? I think I have shared so many information about teaching learning activities. I hope you can understand well and you can apply them in your classroom. Thank you for watching. See you for the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a great day, everyone.